A few weeks ago, I got a chance to join a big roundtable of other Star Wars YouTubers and podcasters, and we got to ask the stars of Andor some questions about the upcoming series. This video is our interview with Diego Luna, who is obviously so great to speak with. I especially enjoyed Triad of the Force's question, but everyone did a great job and asked interesting questions, and I'll link to all the other outlets in the description. Unfortunately, we only have the audio from the roundtable, but it's a great conversation that sheds some spoiler-free light onto the series and what we'll see next month. I hope you enjoy it.
Hi, Diego. This is Alex from Star Wars Explained. I am so excited for Andor. Star Wars has a long, proud history of giving fans more context of other characters through, usually it's been books or comics. It's so awesome to see it happening on this scale now. How do you anticipate fans viewing Rogue One or other Star Wars stories after watching Andor?
I do think that you're gonna be able to watch Rogue One after seeing Andor with different eyes. You're gonna understand the characters in a different way, and you're gonna see stuff you were not seeing. It's quite interesting because Rogue One is pretty much about an event. You don't get to know much about the characters. You know a little about Jin, and that's it. But it's more about what they're capable of doing when they work together as a team. And now we're gonna tell you what needed to happen for someone to become that person. And I think you're gonna revisit Rogue One with different eyes. You're gonna understand what he's talking about, and what was the life of people in order to be willing to become part of change, to articulate something, to fight the empire, articulate something in a community, become part of a community that feels strong enough to fight the empire. I think this show is going to show you what their lives were like, how difficult it was to live, how little freedom you had, how marginalized society was, and also you're going to learn a lot about the people working for the empire, because this show also tells you those stories, and you will also get to know what their life is like, and you'll get to meet the people behind the uniforms, So I think it's going to be interesting for audiences to go back and watch Rogue One after.
Hi, Diego. This is Brandon from Talking Bay 94. So great to get to talk to you. You've mentioned before that you had a backstory, at least some semblance of an idea of what Cassian's, life had been before Rogue One when you portrayed him initially. How close does this show match to it in terms of both tone and theme, but also specifics?
In terms of the specifics, not at all. Obviously, not at all, and gladly, because probably the story would have been boring if it was mine. And the writing of Tony Gilroy is amazing and complex and intense and interesting. But in essence, it's there. It's all there. I had to answer myself those questions of like, what is he? What does he mean when he says, like, I've been part of this fight since I was 6 years old? How come can he say that? I mean, what is he referring to? What is that dark past he talks about? What is that terrible stuff he did for the rebellion? All of that I had an answer for. And tonally and yeah, it does connect with Tony's ideas, but gladly, this is much more interesting, obviously. And the building of the backstory is so perfect, man. It is like every question has an answer. He writes such rich material, full of tiny layers that create a very complex structure. I really like his writing and his view on this show.
Hi, Diego. A few years ago, you got down on your knees to talk to my daughter at the Rogue One premiere in London. And
I did.
You did. And I wanted to ask you how your children have reacted to your character and being in Star Wars, you know, back when you were doing Rogue One and to now. How have their reactions changed?
Well, it's different. My daughter is much more into it now than back then. You know, she was I guess too young, and the film was too challenging for her. And my son loves the idea and is very excited, and it was nice because with the series I had the chance to share much more with them, you know. Like when I was shooting the film, I had to keep a lot to myself. I was also kind of like nervous, and it felt like I had to be like just concentrated in the film, because it felt in a way that I was thrown into like a vehicle already moving, you know. And here it's different. I've been involved as a producer, therefore I've been part of this project for 4 years and a half, you know. And I've been able to talk to them about the whole process and explain what's happening, and showing them stuff, and gladly I have the chance, to share this with them and make sure they understand what I do, because at the end I'm doing this for them too, you know. And they are excited about it, and I'm glad for that.
Hi, Diego. My name is Caitlin from Sky Talkers. So great to talk to you today. So my question is, knowing how Cassian's story ends, what do you think it is about him that makes him so compelling that we want to return to his life now?
I think, well, first of all, that what he does, like the rest of the team in Rogue One, is something that not many do, you know, that makes him being very like different and interesting, and a character to celebrate. I think, you know, what that team is willing to do, to sacrifice themselves for a cause, it's something that makes them unique, you know, I think. But what is interesting here is that we're gonna find out that he was really far away from being that person at the beginning, you know, and that he in fact it's like you or me, you know, like it's a story about real people that you can connect with, that you can empathize and understand their journey, you know, because Cassian, when we find him, he's a guy that is just trying to survive, you know, in dark moments of his life. He carries a lot of pain, and he has no hope in becoming something he could, you know, feel proud of. And that's where we find him, and the journey and the awakening of the revolutionary is what I think it can be very interesting to witness, you know.
Saludos, Diego, Gustavo y Mariana from Puerto Rico and Triad of the Force. Muchas gracias, by the way, por ser la voz de representación latina in Star Wars. We're very appreciative of you in that position. My mom says hi, by the way. She loves you in Havana Nights. The first question that we had for you, the question that we had for you, though, is that you had mentioned in a previous interview that Andor is going to be the story of the journey of a migrant. And that's something that resonates with us, right, as Latinos and people, you know, the diaspora that's here in the United States that come from other parts of Latin America. So our question is, how do you see Cassian Andor, and how does he represent Latinos in their struggle against colonialism? How is that represented in the show, and how do you connect with that struggle?
Well, the beauty of Star Wars is that it's like every piece of science fiction. It's a great tool to make comments on the present and on reality, you know, by telling you, I'm gonna tell you a story about a galaxy far, far away. You'll bring down your guard, you know, and then I can tell you a story that even though it happens in a galaxy far, far away, it might have a lot to tell you about your own reality in your galaxy, and it is kind of I mean, it's part of Star Wars. It's always been, that Star Wars makes comments and that reflects a moment in history, and yes, this story is pretty much about I mean, Cassian is a refugee. He's been forced to move without being able to look back. He leaves something behind, and in Rogue One, no one has his accent. He comes clearly from somewhere else than the rest, and this Andor is a story about people coming from different places and articulating a thing called community, that makes them stronger. And I think, yeah, I mean, that has a lot to do with the world we live in, and what's needed these days. It makes the story pertinent, I think, and it's one of the reasons why I'm involved in this project, is because I feel I can tell a story that matters today.
Hey, Mr. Luna.
Aha.
Hashtag Cassian lives.
Woohoo!
We are Richard and Sarah from Skywalking Through Neverland.
And now I had a question for you about being an executive producer. Did you have any control over the composer or the musical elements that we see in this series? And what were your suggestions to help this music stand on its own for this series?
I have to say that I witnessed the process of I witnessed the process, always impressed by what was happening. It's Tony Gilroy. It's quite an interesting leader. He thinks of everything before you're even shooting. I'll tell you a story. There is one scene. I won't tell you which scene because I will be spoiling the story, but there was a piece of music that was created before we even shot the scene where that music is part of the score, and it's happening there. Like there is this piece of music that matters so much in an episode that it existed before we even went on shooting. And I was on set playing a moment, like a scene where this music is going to be playing, and I could hear the music when I was shooting. I'm telling you this story because I think Tony writes, and when he writes, he has to know what the space of that he's writing for is. It has to be designed already. The space where the scene happens. He doesn't write like, well, this happens in the lobby of a hotel. No, he says this happens in the lobby of a hotel that is like this. And you can tell he had a drawing, and he worked with the production designer before writing the scene on what space was the scene going to happen in. Same thing with the music. I think he ambitions how things are going to sound before they're even shot, and when he's writing, he has that in mind. It's quite amazing. So when you ask me about the music, I was just celebrating every step of the process, because he's so much in control. And obviously we have not a composer, we have the composer,
Hello. Good to see you, my friend. Andor is this bold, new, mature direction in Star Wars storytelling, and I think we learned that in the first 10 minutes of the first episode. Can you talk about this shift in tone to a much more adult Star Wars story?
Yeah, I don't know if I would say adult. I would say definitely complex. I would say darker and greedier. But I don't know if adult would be the word, because my son, I think it's going to be hooked to this, and he's 14 years old. I think it's about what you look for in storytelling, and I think there's audiences for everything. And this story, it definitely touches on a more, darker and grittier tone, close to a spy thriller. It's a political thriller too. There's obviously there is moments of like big action and adventure, but it's also complex and it's more character driven, and we'll get to see those people relating, and we'll be patient to witness the life of these characters. The long format allows you to do that, to not to have to choose and stay in one mode, like to move around, to transit. And the show is ambitious in that way, because it does try to go to places you're not expecting, basically.
Hi, thank you so much for being able to talk with everyone today. So we had a question commenting on something that Tony Gilroy had mentioned during Rogue One. He had talked about how the film wasn't set into place, and the version that fans were able to see it, the final cut, was very different from the kind of original conception of the project. Was anything similar like that occurring with Andor? How different is the product that we've had the opportunity to watch now compared to maybe some of the original vision for the series?
I don't think much. But there is something that happens, and it's the nature of collaboration. It's like there's an idea, but then a producer comes in, like Sana, and her perspective matters, and then suddenly that shapes the project in a different way. Then we start working with Luke, who's the set designer, the production designer, who's an amazing mind, and when he starts designing, even the scenes change, because they are going to happen in a different place, so the writing has to change. And then you cast the project, and even though you had in mind someone, when you end up casting, an amazing actor comes out of nowhere, and you go like, shit, that's a character, and that transforms things. So and that happens more in this format, in a series than in film, because a series, it's like the process starts for the first block, and you start shooting while there's stuff that is still being written. It's a machine that doesn't stop. So obviously things are not what they are till you finish all the process. But what I can tell you is that the energy, the vision, it's been one since the start, since we started pre-producing this, and it's Tony Gilroy's, and obviously all of us, we are around to collaborate and to help his vision elevate to where it deserves, but it's all about his vision.
And that does it for our Diego Luna Roundtable interview. I'll be putting out the other roundtables we did with Genevieve O'Reilly, who plays Mon Mothma, and Denise Goff and Kyle Solar, who play Dedra Miro and Cyril Cam, throughout the day as well, so keep an eye out for them. If you haven't already, please like this video, subscribe to the channel for all our Andor coverage, follow us on TikTok, Twitter, and Instagram, and consider checking out our Patreon page. As always, thanks for watching, and may the Force be with you.